Hello, everyone. Ashanti Titus here with Grind Over Matter Films. I am here today with an amazing guest, Mr. Kevin Walker. He's actually a part of our film, and he really gave us an amazing perspective in relation to cultural appropriation and history, and it was just absolutely amazing. And he's joining us today from Chicago. So, how are you today, Mr. Kevin
Hey
Walker?
there, Ashanti. I'm doing great. But before we start, I just want to give a shout out to all of my fellow Texans and let them know that I'm thinking about them. I hate to see people suffering to this level. It's unnecessary. And I just hope that somehow, some way, all of this can be rectified and that whoever's in charge didn't see this coming, that they get dealt with. So,
I hear you.
yeah.
I hear you. And that's, hold on one second. We have to bring back. Awesome. You are absolutely amazing. Like, you are on point with that because, like, people were saying with the whole grid situation, like, how is that? How did we not see that coming? Like, are these people here? And I just wanted to give just our condolences out to the individuals with the 50 pound car wreck that happened. So it's been a lot that's going on here in Texas. So thank you so much, Kevin, for that.
Yeah, I think at this point we're all traumatized from this summer, from the pandemic, from the election. This is just, it's a bit much. So I'm looking forward to, a time period where things are a lot happier and more joyous and everyone is. And whole.
For sure. And
Yeah,
it's
we're going through it.
we are, and it's definitely
Hmm.
what I found is like mental. Definitely, I was telling one of my friends it's like a good idea just to take mental breaks to where you're just, listen to some soft music and just relax and think about the things that are going right. That's what's
Absolutely.
really helped me during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. All right, we're going to get right into it. So, Mr. Walker, you are a strategic director for Fluent 360, right?
Yeah, I'm a strategy director for
Strat-
Fluent 360. And what that means, all that means is that I serve as a bridge between the creative team and the research folks. And my job is to kind of like build that bridge between the two and to write briefs that help direct the creative teams to develop outreach that resonates with the people that we target. And I have an area of expertise. My area of expertise is really around young consumers. So whether they be Hispanic, African American, Asian Pacific Islander, that is kind of my wheelhouse. So I spend a lot of time doing research around these groups and looking at things that are affecting them, their educational choices, because the client that I work for is really, invested in recruiting young people for their organization. So that's what
That's
I do every
that's
day, all day.
yes, that's amazing. I guess can we kind of like what is like one of the ways that you do your research? Like how do you stay in tune with exactly, for that
Yeah,
market?
actually, that's a great question because what I've done, I feel like I've built my own machine for research. So the social channels that I manage and I look at, they are like real time libraries. So I can like go into Twitter, for instance, and all of the people that I follow are really kind of like thought leaders, so
Okay.
to speak. And so I get a wealth of information in real time every day that allows me to start piecing patterns together. There's a discipline in our field, it's called semiotics. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but what semiotics is that you're looking at information as it comes and looking at data points. And you
Okay.
start piecing those data points together for further signals. And those signals turn into actual trends. And
Oh.
so every day I'm looking at those signals, monitoring people's conversations, looking at attitudes towards certain things, looking at news events, and piecing that all together so that I can be better informed as to real time culture in which we're operating in. Because right now, culture moves so fast, due to social media, that if you're not on top of it, you're going to kind of miss it. And so I almost feel like my job is really to help my clients stay relevant. Yeah,
Oh.
that's what I
Wow.
really do. Yeah,
That is amazing. I just learned something new. Semiotics.
semiotics.
I'm gonna be looking into that. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
look
you
it
for
up.
that.
And I can tell you that that the people who are leaders in semiotics and using that in advertising research and advertising outreach are people from the UK. Those are the people who have really kind of pioneered this discipline of using semiotics to help build better communication. So I kind of spent a lot of time in touch with a lot of folks from the UK, and
Wow.
studying them and what they've done. And so it's really interesting because sometimes we can get so American centric and
Yes.
not realize that there are other places in the world that are leading the way in certain things. And so uh, London has a lot of good planners, account planners, and strategists. And so they're the ones that I follow in terms of like being a better practitioner here in the States.
That is awesome. And I love the fact that you have a more of an international view versus just America. And me and Reginald, we talk about this all the time, how important it is to be like a global citizen. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we get so caught up in America and what's going on here, like, and not realizing there's other, forces at play that impact our world here,
Absolutely,
you
absolutely.
know,
And it's funny because right now, if you look at what America is doing, we don't have a whole lot to be proud about.
not at all.
You know, we used
Not
to,
at all.
we used to be leaders in certain things, but in a way, we're kind of falling behind. And I think that, if I could talk to young people, one thing I would tell them is that yes, be a global citizen. The world is a big place. You don't have to just focus all your energy and your studies only here.
Right.
You can study people in Australia, you can study people in China, because we are truly global citizens now. And those who don't adhere to that point of view, they're the ones who are going to be less relevant and left behind.
That's definitely true. And so
Hmm.
how long have you like worked in this industry?
I've actually been working in the advertising industry for 21 years now. Before that, I was a corporate guy. I wasn't always cool Kev with the dreadlocks. I was corporate Kev, and I started my career working for Mobil Oil. That's as square as it gets, right? But
Oh yeah.
inside, deep inside of me, I always wanted to be in a creative environment, and that's kind of what led me to work in the advertising field. And my first job was with Burrell Communications, which is the legendary Chicago-based Black agency, who were pioneers in African American targeted advertising. And so, if you really analyze the industry and look at Black folks who are in advertising, almost half of them somehow, some way, are Burrell alum, myself included.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's a
And
great
so,
place.
yeah, so cool. Thanks for
Mhm.
that information. So, over the past 20 years, like how have you seen the industry change in relation to the attitudes towards the images of black people?
I mean, this whole year, this last year, has been like probably the greatest year as it relates to Black culture and people being fully vested in our well-being and representation. I've never seen anything like it. I know it's kind of unfortunate that it took the George Floyd thing to really wake people up,
Right.
but I mean, I can't say enough how much we're benefiting in our profession and being African Americans with an expertise, right? Like, we know how to talk to our market. We know that there's no one who's better than people like me or my colleagues. We know, and so it's so refreshing to be able to be engaged. People are seeking out our expertise. I've never really been in that position before. I've always had to sell what I do, but now
Hmm.
people are coming to me, and that makes all the difference in the world.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's
That's
funny. It's funny because I keep saying all these bad things that are happening, right? We've
mhm,
been through a terrible time, but the flip side is that we're actually living through a golden era
right.
of Black content, of Black creators. You know, um, I've never ever seen anything like it. I lived through Spike Lee, who's my fellow alum from Morehouse.
Oh
I remember
wow.
going to see in 1985. I remember going to see She's Gotta Have It, and that
Hmm.
was like there was nothing like that, nothing in terms of Black content. He was the only player in town, really. And now here we are in 2021, and there's just this plethora of beautiful Black content that's being put out. There are so many avenues for the content to be shown. Your movie is a case in point. You guys are Black content creators, right?
Right.
And that's the beauty of this moment. So I just want to remind people that yes, things have been hard, things have been tough, but on the flip side, we're really living through remarkable times, and the culture keeps pushing forward, right? It just keeps moving, And the other side of it is that women are leading the way. That's
Yes.
something that's not talked a lot about, but it's really women creators, women creatives that are leading the charge and leading the way. I always use, Misha Green as a perfect example of, the innovation that is in the marketplace right now from Black women.
Yeah.
She's the Lovecraft Country thing was just remarkable. She created a world that we had never seen before. She did it.
Right.
And so that's just an example of how wonderful this time period is for Black content and Black content creators.
It's absolutely it's amazing. It's even with
Mm-hmm.
the whole Shonda Rhimes situation. I had posted this I think on our Facebook page talking about like how Shonda asked for a Disney ticket over there at ABC for
Right.
her sister, and all the money that she made them. They said, "Don't you have enough?" Right? And so
They were like, girl, who are you? We ain't giving you no tickets. You
right,
know,
and then she goes over to Netflix, and then Bridgerton is like, from the last
breaking
time I checked, it's
breaking
like
record.
up there, like the top three. And so I look at that and look at Ava, and I mean, and we have some amazing men with Ryan Coogler
Issa,
as
we can go
well.
Issa, Ava, Shonda.
Yeah,
And these names, right? These are not European names.
exactly.
I mean, we're black. We're proud of it. And we're
And
making money and bringing people along with us. And how wonderful is that, right?
right, and it's like being unapologetic about it. And one of the things recently, I mean, we had a corporate, company come to us to talk to us about diversity training, and Reginald and myself led that last week. And so it's just amazing because even just 10 years ago we were like, okay, is this too, I remember going to interviews, is this too black, or like having
Mhm.
to change my name to my middle name as far as not using my first name. It's a lot has just changed in 10
It's been a
years.
shift. It's fundamental, and we're not going back,
That's
right?
exactly right.
We're not going
Exactly
back.
right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the huge things. And for you guys out there who've not watched Natural Hair the movie, Kevin was in a part in there that stuck with me. And a lot of us like don't even know our history when it comes to music. I know, Kevin, you're a big music buff. And in the film we talk about Elvis. And I remember growing up like Elvis being this huge American icon and all of that. But because of you, I learned a little bit more about that whole situation. Did you want to kind of like give the people a piece of what you talked about in the film?
Yeah, I just reminded folks that, although Elvis was great, I'm not taking away his shine and the impact that he had on pop music. But the fact is that Elvis, his whole source of who he was and his music was black. It came from Big Mama Thornton, who sang Hound Dog first, and other artists like her in the Memphis, Mississippi area. And Elvis was the one who absorbed all of that energy and talent and creativity from black people, then reflected it back in a more mainstream way. And so the point is that, throughout history, African Americans have always kind of like formed the new thing culturally, right? Like even now, we can fast forward to today and look at what's happening on TikTok. A lot of the creativity and a lot of the dances are formulated from African Americans. That same dynamic is what brought Elvis along, but the black creators didn't get the credit nor the money.
Exactly.
And I think that is even shifting now because now we're getting the credit and the money too, right?
For sure.
Because we refuse to go back to that kind of paradigm. And I think that, when the New York Times last year did that beautiful article about little Jalea Harmon, who created the Renegade Dance, she actually did not get the credit and did not get the money that white people who adopted what she did, they were getting the money. And so I was so thankful to the New York Times for bringing that to the forefront and letting us know that this is still happening. And ever since then, I see Jalea on all kinds of commercials and on TV. So I'm happy that we're kind of like getting that monetary justice in addition to the fame.
Yeah, and you talk about that in the film as far as the economic portion of cultural appropriation. Because when this whole, just creating the film and this topic came up, for me, I didn't see it as a big deal. If a white woman wanted to wear braids, wear braids. That's her business. But I totally agree with you in the portion about the economic aspect of it, and then giving recognition to where recognition is due
Yeah.
versus getting upset because a white woman wears, braids or locks or whatever.
Right.
I could care less, but the fact is, so for so long, our essence as far as our features and things like that have been taken, and different dances and music and things like that, and we have not gotten the recognition for it. I
Yeah.
know you and I spoke about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, the film. If y'all haven't seen it, please check it out. And it's essentially, it really highlights that era of how our just creativity and IP was just stolen.
Yes.
And I thought about you, that part in the film that you talked about when Viola Davis's character, Mom Rainey, said these white folks, they don't care nothing about me. They just want to get my voice on that recorder. And once
Hmm.
they have it, they're done with me like a whore.
Yeah.
You know?
And that kind of thing, I don't think that'll ever leave us where like people look to black labor to see them through, to add that extra flavor to whatever it is that we're doing. We'll always be looked upon to deliver that. Over the summer when the Black Lives Matter movement just really took off, I started reading more and more about Dr. Frank Wilderson III and his notion of Afro-pessimism. And I was like, well, what is that? What is Afro-pessimism? But once I read it, it gave me the framework in which to process this unending reliance upon black labor, right?
Oh,
Black
wow.
slavery. Like we're always going to be viewed as people that are only good for producing that labor and for nothing else. And it's an unfortunate type of theory, but once you embrace it, it helps you. It helps you to understand that there is this relationship of us in the greater world, because I could go to Australia and be viewed in a similar fashion, right? I could go to China and be viewed as a similar fashion. I'm not going to be viewed as one of my white colleagues, is. It's just something that about us. But the beauty of us is that, this is a constant, but that never stops us from moving forward, right? Never. I mean, even you could even look at the election of November. There was a massive force of oppression coming at us, and we still punched through, right? That's our story.
Yeah.
That we always face this resistance, this oppression, but it never stops us, and that's because the culture is so strong and so powerful. And I just look forward to the day where more people recognize that, especially young people, and I think they are. But once you understand how fly we are as a people worldwide, that should affect you. That should affect you positively, and never have anyone to be able to project negativity about blackness onto you.
I mean, Starberry is a good example of that. There was the documentary with a basketball player that didn't get the respect in America, and he went to China, and they have a statue
Oh yeah,
over
yeah,
there, you
yeah,
know. And so I don't. I mean, I'm with you. So many of us don't understand and realize how much of an impact that we have and how great that we really are.
yeah,
And that is why I'm just so happy and excited that you are a part of our film, because just bringing that home, and don't doubt who you are. Like, this what you're seeing as far as with Elvis and all this other stuff. This
yeah.
came from somewhere,
I
and we
mean,
need to
like
be more aware.
I could just go on and on. I could go on for days of examples where black folks lead the way and others follow. I used to teach a class. I used to do a lecture about black music, and the funny thing is that black music, the untold story when it comes to black music, is that there's always music technology involved, right? Um, and the funny thing is that 9 times out of 10, we're not the ones who create the technology. But then we take that technology and we use it in ways that no one ever imagined it being used. Even looking at Twitter, right? Like the quick wit that's displayed on Twitter every day. No one else does that. That's us. And then Black Twitter became a thing. And
Right.
you could go back to the 60s and look at what Jimi Hendrix did with the electric guitar. No
Yes.
one ever controlled feedback from an amplifier. This fool did
No.
it.
Yeah.
He did it, and everyone followed. So that's that's our story in this world, that Black people are rich in culture. We lead the way, and then other people follow. We take influences from other cultures too. Don't get me wrong, we do that, but we flip it and we do things that no one ever has done before, and that's our story. And I'm, as a middle-aged man, I'm so excited to see that dynamic being transferred to the digital realm, you
Right.
know, and into the visual realm. So I almost feel like music, we're leaving music behind. Music has always been our project,
Right.
but we're leaving that behind and we're going to the visual realm. If you look at where all of the energy, all of the creativity is in the visual arts, it's in digital. Music is still there, but it's not as much, right?
Right.
It's these new tools that we have that we're using. You know, I think I've talked in the past about my homeboy from Dallas, Terrence Nance. Have you ever seen Terrence Nance's films?
Terrence Nance. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, he was back in 2012. He did a movie called The Oversimplification of Her Beauty. And the thing about Terrence is that he took Final Cut Pro, which is
Hmm.
the editing tool, and he used it like a jazz instrument.
Oh
You
wow.
know, so that
Interesting.
was the first time I realized that young creators are taking the new tools and using them like they have done in music, but it's expanding beyond music into more of a visual arts type of thing. So you got people like Khalil Joseph and Terrence, who are really like blowing out what you can and cannot do with film and visuals. It's just a remarkable thing. That's just a gift that God has given us, I guess. I don't know how or why, but that's what we have. And
That's
I'm so
amazing.
excited to be a part of two young people who created their own film around natural hair and did a deep exploration of what's driving us to a better way of approaching our natural beauty. I think that's just a wonderful thing. So I just have to give it up to you guys too for doing that, and for inviting me to be a part of something that's probably going to last longer than I'm going to last. So I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you. We both appreciate you. Thank you for that. We have some comments here. It looks like okay. Troy Knowles. It said, "Don't forget the TR 808."
That's right. That was not meant for hip hop, right? It was not. It was just a drum machine. But I'll go even beyond hip hop. The first real pop music drum machine use was by another Black man, right? I'm sure I'm sure most people know that Sly Stone was the first
Wow.
probably to use that type of drum machine. So, so that is the story. Black creators take technology, twist it, and use it in ways that no one even imagined. And hip hop, is exhibit A for that. Like that TR 808 made by Roland, a Japanese company, they never imagined their drum machine was going to be used like it was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Then we also have, let's see, what should creatives understand about strategy and the advertising world?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that what creators need to, the best creatives that I've worked with are those who do understand strategy. Strategy is the foundation. Strategy is the basis for creating excellent advertising outreach. And so in my professional life, the best creatives I've worked with are those who grasp strategy first. They're not just out there in the weeds and in space, just doing creative things. They're grounded in the roots, which is really strong creative, strong strategy ideas. And so, I would say that in my view, good strategy people are also creative too, right? Like we're not just researchers and nerds. We like the creativity. We like to push. We like to be in the room with the creators, jamming it out. That's a good strategist to me, not just someone who's off in the corner writing a brief. I like to
Right.
mix it up with the creative team. And so I say that, in the advertising context, a great strategist as well as a great creative are people who can like build that thing together and not be off in silos.
For sure.
Mhm.
Amazing. And now see we have some more see comments. Elvis was a thief. That was Troy. Monetary Justice, and then I messed up the name, so it was Stefan Marbury. My
Yes, that's
bad.
Marbury.
Yes, that
Yeah.
one. Y'all need to check that out. I teared up on that one.
I have to. Is it where can I find the documentary?
Let me see. Where did we see it? I know I was on the Roku. I'll put it in the on the chat or on the comment block. I'm not sure exactly. I have to ask Reginald where we watched it at. I want to say it was Hulu, but it could be somewhere else.
Okay.
It was really good.
Because that brother made his own way in China, right? Like he left the states.
He left,
Yeah.
and I see why. You know, he left because he got so much respect. It was on Netflix. Okay, it's on
Yeah.
Netflix. Here's another question: what are some good books to read to help improve our creative and business?
You know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there. Probably the best book about creative person as it relates to business was Nile Rodgers' book. I think it's called Le Freak.
Le
Uh,
Le Freak.
Le Freak. He's
Okay.
the man who wrote the song Le Freak. But
Okay.
that book really blew my mind because at the heart of that book is about how to expand your business universe. You
Okay.
know, the biggest takeaway I got from that book was that what made Nile Rodgers successful was not only his talent, but his ability to connect with people across cultures, right? He didn't just focus on black folks. You know, he didn't just focus on white people. Nile Rodgers constantly cultivated relationships that were outside of his comfort zone. And there's a beautiful story in that book about how he came to make David Bowie's biggest song, which was Let's Dance.
Okay.
And that came from him being in the club late at night and seeing David Bowie in the corner sitting by himself. And he went over and talked to him. And he found out that David Bowie loved black music. And they struck up a conversation. They talked for like 2 hours in this club. And then 2 weeks later, he gets the phone call from David Bowie to help him make this record, which ended up being one of the biggest records ever made. But it's relationships, not just talent.
Okay, got
Mhm.
relationships, not just talent. All right, we also have, let's see, another book, Brainwashed by Tom Burrell. Thanks, Troy, for that. We have another question. Where do you see TikTok's role in advertising and marketing space? Is it sustainable?
That's a great question. I think TikTok is a game changer. Uh, Again, what did we talk about? Visual, right?
Yes, yes.
We're living in a visual world, and what TikTok is giving your average person is the power of expensive editing tools in an app, right? Like you can be the greatest creator using TikTok, and I'm just blown away by what I'm seeing people do with it, right? I didn't know you could do all that. But again, these people that create this technology, they had no idea their technology could be utilized in these ways. And I think that what TikTok has done has given us further power, democratized power of visual production. And I think that we'll never go back from that. It's only going to get better from here. So I can even reflect back on the tools of movie making and making ads. They used to have these big cameras, right?
Right.
And those big cameras went to DSLRs,
Hmm.
you know. And now, now we're shooting on iPhones, shooting the whole movies on iPhones. So it's this democratization of technology that TikTok to me represents that probably will be with us for a really long time.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. And we have another one. Let's talk about Clubhouse. Is it a waste of time or not?
I'm gonna, I'm
That
gonna.
wasn't me.
Let me just say, I personally refute it. I don't need another time suck added to my life. I just don't have the bandwidth. But I think what really is going on with Clubhouse is that it's opening up another avenue of oral production
Hmm.
and community via sound and discussion. So it's a new thing. I don't think Clubhouse is going to last. I
Okay.
think there's going to be a refinement, like Facebook is going to create their own Clubhouse, and that probably will take off. But yeah, it's just another time suck. I just looked at it like I don't need that in my life.
We have a comment that said Clubhouse equals Spirit Airlines.
Yeah,
That was Troy. Okay, let's see. We're gonna go kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about locks. You have locks. You didn't have locks before as corporate Kev, but as
I was
killer
hoping
Kev,
to
you have locks.
have life, and I'm not ready to cut them yet.
What
Yeah,
advice would you give to young men who may have locks, but they're, like, kind of in the middle of the road of dealing with their career, maybe their job? I shared with you a close family member who was up for a position and he decided to cut his locks off and he didn't
yeah.
get the promotion. Um, I have my own take on that, but what advice would you give as a black man to another black man?
I would say, stand in who you are. I mean, if you're not confident about, what you're representing and the strength in your hair, then, you probably don't need to wear locks. But if you are confident and you're in a job setting that, there's pressure for you to conform, maybe that's not the right environment for you, you know? So I think it's more about you as opposed to the environment that you're in. And if it doesn't settle well with you, if you don't feel like you're going to go far in your career with locks, then maybe you shouldn't have it. But for me, my world got better when I grew my locks. It was things opened up for me because the reason why is not just because of my hair, but it's because I became more confident in who I was and I was able to let my authentic self shine. That's
Right.
that's what happened with my locks. It was more about letting my authentic self come out where I was previously I was trying to conform. But
Hmm.
once I let my hair grow and I kind of set myself free, and my career path, my professional path has expanded even further.
Wow.
Hmm.
See, kids, there you go. His experience is totally different. A lot of times we actually feel like we need to do that, especially when young. You're like you just want to get the job or get the money, but like you said, with the whole just evolution of things that are going on, a lot of us are starting to stand in our truth and being unapologetically black. And a lot
Absolutely.
of times we talk about the woman's perspective, and that's with film and everything, but you bring that element of a male's perspective in there as well. So, what do you feel like as far as, with the attitude of with women and everything like that, with natural hair and how that it's evolved? What do you think about a black natural woman?
Well, that's for me. I'm like I'm all for people representing themselves in their natural, glorious light. If you have hair that grows out of your head, what more gloriousness is there than that? That's kind of like my personal view. But I love the fact that black women have so many things at their disposal to make themselves look good. Whether it's weave, whether it's extensions, whether it's shaving their heads. I just view it as all richness. It's all part of our flyness that we can do that we can morph, that we can change, but I always am going to lean towards the natural beauty. That's just me.
Right.
That's me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, looks like we are at time. Kevin, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation with us. It's been great. Thank you for
Thank you,
being a part
Ashanti.
of this film.
I can't
Eh,
believe I'm doing this. I'm just in awe that you guys invited me, and I so appreciate you and Reginald. And
Yes.
I hope
Thank
that
you.
the film keeps growing in momentum. And I'm going to ask everyone watching to go on Amazon, right,
Yes. It's on
and
Amazon.
rent this film and watch it because it's very enlightening. And I think it's right on time. And you guys, couldn't have timed it better because we're actually living through, a natural hair movement.
Yes.
Hmm.
All right. And thank you so much. And Troy, last thing he said, I would have said Team Natural, no Kim's. What do you say? Great answer, Kevin.
I didn't want to make enemies with people that I know, so I had to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in with all of your comments and adding to this conversation. We definitely appreciate it. Tune in next time, and we'll be talking some more with some people who were a part of the project. Y'all have a great night. Bye. Y'all stay safe and stay warm. Peace.